Dr. Sarah Chen's face remained professionally impartial as she wrapped the cuff round my arm. However, her fingers trembled barely as she slipped the folded paper into my hand. Her eyes, darkish and pressing, met mine for just a fraction of a second. "Don't react," those eyes said. "Just examine it later." "Your blood pressure is perfect, Mrs. Whitmore," she said loudly, for the benefit of my daughter-in-law, Diane, who sat in the nook of the exam room scrolling through her smartphone. 120/80. Super for someone your age. I am 68, not aged, not senile, and just not the fretted, deteriorating woman my own family were describing to each doctor in Portland, Oregon. I saved the notice hid in my closed fist as Dr. Chen finished the exam. Temperature, normal. Reflexes, normal. Cognitive characteristic check. I recited the date, the president's call, and counted backward from 100 through sevens without a single mistake. "The whole lot appears exceptional," Dr. Chen introduced, typing notes into her PC. "Mrs. Whitmore is in terrific fitness for her age, sharp as a tack." I caught the emphasis on those closing 4 words. "That's awesome, isn't it, Mother?" Diane chirped from her chair, not looking up from her cell phone. "But you know, Doctor, she's been having those episodes." Forgetting in which she positioned things, getting harassed about dates. "I have not observed something concerning," Dr. Chen said coolly. We drove home in silence, Diane on the wheel of my very own Mercedes, a car my son Brandon had insisted I shouldn't drive anymore for protection motives. I sat in the passenger seat like a baby, the word burning in my palm. The moment I was by myself in my bedroom, the bedroom in the house I had owned for 43 years, I spread out the paper. The handwriting became moved quickly but clear. "Mrs. Whitmore, your son and daughter-in-law had been physician searching for weeks, seeking to get someone to diagnose you with dementia. They have offered bribes, they've cast symptom reports, they are making plans to have you dedicated and declared incompetent. Don't visit to tomorrow's expert appointment. Don't sign anything, and for God's sake, do not let them know you know. My colleague, Dr. Raymond Chen, my husband, is an attorney. Call him, 503-555-0147. You're in danger. Dr. Sarah Chen." My fingers shook as I read it twice, 3 times. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my door. I slipped the notice into my bra, lay down on my mattress, and closed my eyes. Let me let you know who I sincerely am. My call is Martha Elizabeth Whitmore, and I am not rich by Portland's tech billionaire requirements, but I am not lonely either. My past-due husband Gerald sold inventory in a touch organization called Microsoft in 1986. He bought more in Apple in 1997 when everybody said they were completed. And he had a very good pal named Howard who convinced him to invest in Amazon when it was nevertheless just promoting books. When Gerald died 6 years ago, he left me with a portfolio worth $2.2 million. I have lived modestly. Equal residence within the Eastmoreland community that we sold in 1981. Identical 10-year-old Mercedes. Equal weekly poker game with the girls on the senior center. My biggest indulgence is my annual ride to Hawaii, which charges maybe $4,000. My son Brandon knew about the Microsoft and Apple inventory. Gerald had instructed him years in the past. But Brandon failed to recognize about the rest of it. The Amazon shares that had cut up and multiplied. The careful reinvestment. The wet day fund that had become a monsoon season fund. I had planned to tell him the whole thing when the time was right, once I made my will. I just failed to recognize he'd try to accelerate the timeline. That night, I pretended to sleep. Around 11 p.m., I heard Brandon and Diane inside the kitchen at once under my bedroom. Old homes have thin floors, and sound consisted of. Cannot consider that bitch physician would not play ball, Diane became pronouncing. I presented her $5,000. Who turns down $5,000 for some office work? Perhaps we ought to try Dr. Morrison once more, Brandon stated. He appeared more flexible. Your mother aced that cognitive test, Brandon. We can't continue healthcare shopping if she's going to perform like a goddamn Rhodes student every time. She's not that sharp anymore. You visit her forget matters. She's not forgetting jack shit. Diane's voice rose. She's playing us. I swear to God, she is aware of something. Keep your voice down. She would possibly hear. She's asleep. I placed an Ambien in her tea. My blood ran bloodless. I had drunk that tea. I'd felt drowsy and attributed it to stress. They had been drugging me. Look, Brandon said, the appointment with Dr. Harrison day after tomorrow is our great shot. Sarah said he is sympathetic to family concerns. He will do the assessment, find her incompetent, and we can begin the conservatorship procedure. And you're positive about the money? All of it? I've been through Dad's old files. There's the house, worth at least $850K. The stock portfolio Mother thinks I don't know about, probably $600K by now. Lifestyle's coverage payout she's been sitting on. I'm estimating $2 million, perhaps more. He became off through $200,000, but who is counting? And as soon as we've got conservatorship, Diane pressed. We've got full control. We repay the house in Vegas, clear my gambling debts, and in the end, finally, we will live the life we deserve. Brandon's college fund, the boat we have been wanting, that ride to Bali. Brandon Jr.'s university fund. Babe, your kid's 12. We've got 6 years. So we're going to put a few apart for him. Don't worry about the details. Diane laughed. It was not a kind sound. Your mother spent 40 years clipping coupons and buying at Costco while sitting on $2 million. She would not deserve it. We do. Agreed, my son said. We're those who have had to take care of her. Cope with me? That they had moved into my residence 8 months in the past after Brandon lost his job briefly, a job he'd lost because he'd been caught stealing from the organization to pay gambling debts. I'd bought their groceries, paid their utilities, allowed them to stay lease unfastened while they got back on their feet. And this was my thanks. I lay in my bed, heart pounding, and made a decision. I wasn't going to that appointment the following day. I was going to disappear. At 6 a.m., while Brandon and Diane never slept, I moved. I might have spent the night wide awake planning. I wearing my traditional garments, slacks, a cardigan, practical shoes. I took my handbag, my medicinal drugs, and the emergency credit card I saved hidden in a tampon box. Seasoned tip, no one over 60 wishes tampons, so no person ever appears there. I left my cellular cell phone on my nightstand. They had sung it. I walked out the front door, down the street, and caught the primary bus to downtown Portland. No one stops a properly dressed older woman wearing a handbag and a Costco reusable bag. I was invisible, which was exactly what I had to be. My first stop changed into a coffee shop with public computers. I created a brand new electronic mail code address, marthaknows2024@gmail.com. Then I called the number Dr. Chen had given me from the coffee shop's telephone. Raymond Chen, lawyer at law. Mr. Chen, my call is Martha Whitmore. Your wife advised me to call you. Silence. Then, Mrs. Whitmore, where are you right now? A coffee shop on S.W. Morrison. Are you safe? For now. Leave there. I'm coming to you. Raymond Chen was a moderate guy in his 50s with kind eyes and the same no-nonsense demeanor as his spouse. He discovered me inside the back nook of the coffee shop, nursing my .33 cup of coffee and attempting no longer to cry. Mrs. Whitmore. He slid into the booth throughout from me. Sarah informed me about your situation. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to be absolutely honest with me. All right. Do you recognize where you are right now? Stumptown Espresso, downtown Portland. Do you what day it's for? Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Do you have any history of mental illness, memory problems, or dementia? No. Are you being held against your will at your house? I thought about that. Not physically. However, they have taken my car keys.
They monitor my phone calls. They've been separating me from my pals. And last nighttime, I heard them admit they have been drugging my tea to make me seem stressed. Raymond's jaw tightened. Did you save any proof of this? No, but I ended. Wait, Brandon sold one of these nanny cam devices last month, said it changed into for home security, but I think it was to screen me. Where is it? Within the kitchen, hidden in a plant. Raymond pulled out his phone, made a name. Hello, it's Raymond. I want a want. Are you able to get a warrant for a domestic security tool seizure, elder abuse, financial exploitation, possible false imprisonment? Yes, it's horrid. Whitmore House, 4267 S.E. Gladstone. Thank you, Mike. He hung up and checked out me. Mrs. Whitmore, I want to ask you something vital. How an awful lot cash are we speaking about? I took a deep breath. As of last week, my portfolio became worth $2,247,000, plus the residence, that's paid off, and approximately $80,000 in savings accounts. Raymond whistled low. That's motive for fraud, conspiracy, and probable tried homicide if they're drugging you. Tried murder? Ambien mixed with your ordinary medications could kill you, Mrs. Whitmore. At minimal, they're committing attack. I felt dizzy. My own son, my own flesh and blood. What do I do? I whispered. Raymond leaned ahead. First, we maintain you safe. Second, we collect evidence. Third, we make sure they by no means ever do this again. He paused. But I ought to alert you, this may smash your relationship together with your son. Coins. Do you have got coins? I pulled out the emergency $2,000 I might been preserving in my tampon box. Will this work? He smiled. You're my kind of customer, Mrs. Whitmore. The Sentinel Inn become lovely. It become also luxurious, $400 a night, but I didn't care. I checked in as Mary Wilson, paid cash for 3 nights, and for the first time in 8 months, I locked a door that my son and daughter-in-law couldn't open. I sat on the king-sized bed in that splendid room and cried for 2 hours. Then I called Raymond Chen. They have said you lacking, he said. Filed a police report saying you are a vulnerable adult who wandered far from home. They are playing the involved own family. Of course they are. The good news is, my buddy got the warrant. Police seized the nanny cam device this afternoon. Your son and daughter-in-law were very upset about it. Did it document them? Oh, Mrs. Whitmore, did it ever. We've got them discussing the plan, mentioning the drugging, speaking about forging medical documents. We've got Diane on camera crushing tablets and setting them in your tea kettle. We've got Brandon studying conservatorship fraud online. It is a prosecutor's dream. I should have felt vindicated. As a substitute, I just felt worn out. What happens now? Now we construct the case. However, first, and that is crucial, we want to recognize what you need. Do you want to press charges? Did I? This became my son, the baby I might nursed, the infant I might taught to trip a motorbike, the teen I might stayed up all night disturbing about whilst he neglected curfew. But it was additionally the man who'd been willing to drug me, lock me away, and scow-swallow my estate savings. Yes, I said, I want to press charges. Despite the fact that it means he's going to jail? Particularly if it means he goes to jail. Perhaps it will teach him something prison time may educate him that I absolutely didn't. 3 days later, Raymond called with an update. There's been a development.
Your grandson referred to as my workplace. My coronary heart clenched. Brandon Jr., is he okay? He's fine. Disappointed, confused, but fine. Mrs. Whitmore, he desires to speak to you. Says he does not accept truth what his mother and father are saying about you being sick. Says something is not right. Am I able to see him? I can set it up, but legally I have to inform you. His mother and father have custody. Any meeting would need to be supervised, and it can complicate the case. I don't care. I want to see my grandson. We met at a park 2 days later, Raymond and a social worker present. Brandon Jr. was 12 years old, tall for his age, with his grandfather's kind eyes.
He ran to me the instant he saw me. "Grandma, they stated you were ill. They stated you acquire lost and confused, and—" "I'm not sick, honey." I held him tight. "I am flawlessly fine." He pulled back and looked at me, simply looked at me. I knew it. Dad's been acting weird, and Mother continues having those secret cell phone calls, and they advised me you'd forgotten who I was, but it's bullshit. Sorry, Grandma, because you literally texted me about my science project 3 days before you disappeared. Clever child. Brandon, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be tough to hear. I advised him the whole thing. Not the cruel details, however the truth. His parents had been looking to scouse Sparrow from me, that they had been planning to have me locked away. They'd been lying to anyone, inclusive of him. He didn't cry. He just sat very nevertheless, processing. "Are they going to jail?" he subsequently asked. "In all likelihood." "Right." I blinked. "Honey?" "No, Grandma. Precise. Dad's been lying about the entirety for months. His task opportunity in California that fell through, he were given fired for stealing. Mother's consulting business, she hasn't worked in 3 years. And they keep having those screaming fights about money and about you. And," his voice cracked, "I thought I was going crazy. Like, maybe I used to be the trouble." "You're not the problem, sweetheart. You have in no way been the hassle. Am I able to come live with you?" The question hung within the air. Raymond cleared his throat. "It is complicated, Brandon. Your mother and father have prison custody." "My dad and mom are criminals." "Alleged criminals," Raymond corrected gently, "until the case is resolved." "But after? After they're convicted or anything?" I looked at Raymond. He gave a tiny nod. "After," I said. "We'll figure it out together. I promise." The case moved quicker than I anticipated. The evidence was damning. The video footage showed Diane drugging my tea 6 separate times. Audio recordings captured Brandon researching how to devote someone against the will and calling medical doctors to locate one willing to falsify a dementia diagnosis for the right rate. They had also, and this was perhaps maximum damning, solid my signature on files transferring advocate of lawyer to Brandon. A forensic report examiner confirmed the forgery. My son and daughter in regulation were arrested on fees of conspiracy to devote fraud, elder abuse, assault for the drugging, and forgery. Brandon's bail changed into set at $100,000. He couldn't make it. Diane's parents posted her bail. She without delay filed for divorce and blamed the whole thing on Brandon. I didn't go to him in prison. I failed to take his calls.
But I did leave money in his commissary account, because I'm nevertheless his mom, and that I cannot allow him starve, even though he was willing to allow me rot in an institution. The day earlier before the trial, I did something loosey. I held a press conference. Raymond idea I might have lost my mind. Mrs. Whitmore, you don't have to do this. The evidence speaks for itself. This isn't about the proof, I told him. This is about every other older person in Portland, in the United States, who's being manipulated, drugged, and stolen from by their own families.
That is about the people who do not have a Dr. Chen to slide them a warning note. So I stood in the front of a dozen journalists and cameras, and I advised my story. I advised them about the drugging, the doctor purchasing, the solid documents, the plan to lock me away and scouse borrow $2.2 million. After which, I played the recordings. My son's voice crammed the room. We're the ones who have had to take care of her. She doesn't deserve it. We do. Diane's voice. She spent 40 years clipping coupons while sitting on $2 million. She doesn't deserve it. The room turned into lifeless silence while the recordings ended. I am not unique, I said into the microphones. I'm just fortunate.
Lucky that Dr. Sarah Chen risked her career to warn me. Lucky that I had the sources to fight lower back. But there are lots, perhaps tens of millions, of older individuals who are not so lucky, who are being drugged, manipulated, and robbed by means of the people they believe most. I looked directly into the cameras.
The clicking convention went viral inside hours. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Brandon took a plea deal. 5 years in jail for conspiracy to commit elder abuse and fraud. Diane, dealing with extra extreme expenses, got 7 years. Brandon Jr. came to stay with me the day his father became sentenced. We grew his father's old bedroom into a gaming setup, PlayStation, gaming PC, the works. We established guidelines, homework before games, dinner together each night, and honesty notably else. Grandma, he asked me one night over pizza, do you watch Dad will ever make an apology? Like, genuinely apologize? I thought about that. I don't know, honey. Some people never take responsibility for their actions.
They usually locate a person else guilty. This is sad. It is. However, you know what's not sad? You and me, building a new lifestyle together. This is quite amazing. He smiled. Yeah, it smiles. 6 months after the trial, I received a letter from Brandon. Precious Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did became unforgivable. But I'm scripting this anyway because my therapist says I need to take responsibility. I was drowning in debt. $38,000 in gambling losses. I might have lost my job, my self-respect, the whole thing. And I checked out you, residing in that house, sitting on all that cash, and I felt entitled, like you owed me. Like I would suffered sufficient and deserved and a smooth out. I satisfied myself you had been getting old anyway, that you would not pass over the money, that we were just accelerating the inevitable. I was wrong. I was so incorrect. The worst part is, you would have helped me if I would simply asked. If I would been sincere about the debt, about my addiction, about how badly I might screwed up. You'll have helped me get treatment, train a shot a payment plan, something. But I was too ashamed to ask, too proud to confess I might fail. So I attempted to take, alternatively. I destroyed our relationship.
I traumatized my personal son.
I threw away 50 years of your love and sacrifice. For cash I in no way even govern. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to visit or write again. I just needed you to recognize that I recognize what I did. I understand what I lost. I'm sorry, Mom, for it all. Love. I studied the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and went to make dinner for my grandson. Maybe sooner or later I might respond. Perhaps sooner or later I'd visit. But not today. Today I had a 12-year-old who needed help along with his algebra homework and wanted to tell me about the girl in his English class who genuinely laughed at his jokes.
These days, I used to be building a family based on consider, honesty, and love, not blood or duty, and that turned into sufficient. Epilogue, 2 years later. Brandon Jr., who now went by BJ because he desired his very own identity, independent from his father, became 14 and thriving, immediately A's, basketball crew, a girlfriend named Sophie, who was terrifyingly clever and made me laugh. I'd long gone back to my poker games at the senior center. I'd reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during the 8 months of isolation. I had even started courting a gentleman named Frank, who lost his wife the identical year I'd lost Gerald. Life was good.
The smartphone rang one Saturday morning. Unknown range. What's up? Mother? Brandon's voice turned tentative. It's me. I am out. Early launch for properly conduct. My coronary heart clenched. How are you? I'm sober. 947 days. I'm living in a halfway house, working at a warehouse, going to GA conferences every day. That's good, honey. I know I don't have the right to ask this, however. Could I see BJ? Just for coffee or something. I know I don't deserve... Brandon. I cut him off. This is not my decision to make. BJ is old enough to decide if he wants to see you. I'll ask him and let you know. Thank you. That is...
I hung up and determined BJ in his room, headphones on, gaming. Hiya, kiddo. Are we able to talk? He paused his sport. What's up? Your dad referred to. He's out of prison. He wants to see you. BJ was quiet for a long moment. Do you think I should? I think it's totally up to you, and whatever making you decide, I will support you. Will you come with me if I decide to go? Of course. He thought about it. Perhaps espresso. Just once. To see if he's really changed. That's very mature of you. Yeah, well, he shrugged. You taught me that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up. Dad didn't show up when it mattered. However, perhaps he'll now. I hugged him tight. Why did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. The lesson. Real family is not built on blood. It's built on loyalty, honesty, and love. Your loved ones can betray you. They could drug you, manipulate you, and attempt to scouse borrow the whole lot you've labored for. DNA doesn't make a person trustworthy, but trust, that has to be earned every single day. When a person shows you who they actually are, when they slip capsules into your tea, forge your signature, and snort about locking you away, trust them. And then, build a brand new family with those who honestly show up.
The people who pick out you, now not because of what you can deliver them, but because of who you are. For Martha, it priced her $150,000 in prison costs and the connection along with her son. But she won something priceless, a grandson who understood that integrity such is more than inheritance,
and a second chance to build a family based totally on reality in place of responsibility. Some fees are worth paying, some households are worth fighting for, and some are well worth strolling far from. The selection is constantly yours.